Compass is a pressure group within the Labour Party pushing the government to be more radical. Its campaign mantra is equality, sustainability and democracy. It held a conference in London yesterday at the Ministry of Sound, which I am embarrassed to admit was my first time there. And one of the main speakers was the Greater Manchester Mayor and former Cabinet Minister Andy Burnham. I chatted to him afterwards. But first, let's hear some of the grassroots members from the Labour Party who went along.
My name's Danny. Hello.
Labour Party member.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, I mean, low-hanging fruit. What frustrates me is the lack of audacity, the lack of authenticity with Labour and Starmer in particular. They're in power, so grasp it. You've got a huge majority, so more audacious, more authenticity, please.
We're a year into this government. What do you think of it so far?
How are we doing? I think, considering we've only been in power for a year, we've managed to achieve quite a few good things. But we need to look at where our heart and soul lies and what we want to actually achieve.
What do you think?
I think the country wants a Labour government to be a Labour government. And I think we need to find that heart again and find out where that is and kind of represent those values.
I think we've tied ourselves in knots a little bit with the fiscal policies as well, the fiscal rule. I think we need to have a proper look at that and free ourselves to do some more socialist policies, really, because at the moment we're constricting ourselves to what we can do.
This is not what Rachel Reeves wants to hear. Would you like her to find more money? Either changing her borrowing rules or just raising taxes?
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely be for a wealth tax, and I think a lot of people are. I think a lot of people are asking for that kind of taxation.
The idea that we can't tax the rich more is mad.
Enjoy the afternoon. Well, I'm now sitting here in the green room of the Ministry of Sound with Labour's Mayor of Greater Manchester, Andy Burnham. I bet you've been here before, haven't you?
I did once. I got turned away more than I got in, but I do a bit of DJing here and there.
That was interesting. A conference all about renewal, radicalism on the left. We're a year into a Labour government, Andy. Do you see radicalism and renewal yet?
Signs of, for sure. Renationalising the railways was something the Labour government I was in didn't do. But what I do kind of see ahead of us is an election, a general election, that will be unlike any we fought before, where rather than a lineup of parties, I think it's going to be two worldviews that are kind of competing with each other. And one of my messages today was, I don't think you defeat that kind of darker, what I would call more divisive worldview by kind of tilting in their direction. I think you lean the other way. And this is why I'm here today, to be honest, to say use that spending review to kind of lean into what we believe and do some really substantial things. I'm talking about, a council home building programme as big, if not bigger, than the one that we saw in the post-war period, or a major reform of technical education. Give people a kind of radical offer that fixes the fundamentals: education, homes, energy, affordable transport. Everybody
fascinating.
needs.
We saw the other day Reform UK, Nigel Farage say the two-child benefit cap should go. Something the government hasn't been prepared to say yet.
Always, rejoice at the repentance of any sinner, and if he really believes that, well, and in some ways that's how politics is sometimes. When people do back things, it creates the space for a big, important change to be made, and that is a change that should be made. It should be scrapped. But don't let him dress up in the clothes of progressive politics, because that is not him. He's doing it for, in my view, for matters of political convenience. But I do say to my own side, get back to fixing things that were broken in the 80s. I've put buses in Greater Manchester back under public control. We've kept the £2 fare cap. Westminster sometimes doesn't see these issues as important.
Ministers talk endlessly about their plan for change. I'm not sure many voters really know what that means or involves. Do they need a story that is easier to understand?
There's a sort of a default thing of the kind of language of hard choices, it's hard and this and we. I mean, I get it, because it is hard in government, but don't endlessly kind of go back to that, because people want hope. They want to know what you will do rather than what you've had to cancel or what. And I just think sometimes, governments will always have sort of things that are difficult and challenging, but focus on the positive, something that's really going to help people and really going to move life forward for them. And then, talk positively about those things and then deliver those things. We make politics too complicated.
So it's too abstract. You think it needs to be a clearer story the government's telling about itself?
Just help people in their everyday lives. I've made bus travel free for our teenagers, to give them that chance to get on in life at 16. Why not do that nationally? Bread and butter issues that the voters notice, really fixate on those things in the final analysis.
But local government, transport, housing, these are not protected departments. We know that the spending envelope is very small, isn't it? And there's not going to be a load of cash for the things that you want.
Well, I think what has to be looked at again is the construct that George Osborne brought into British politics in the 2010s when the cuts started, that you only protect the NHS. The NHS is the only protected department. Because where does that get you if you're cutting everything else around it that promotes health? I think the single best investment this country could make would be that biggest council house building programme since the Second World War. If you give people a good home, you give them the foundations for a good life and good health.
And where's the money coming from?
It's an investment. And the money comes from, actually, the savings you make from the benefits system, where we spend billions of pounds as a country overpaying housing benefit because of rents in the private rented sector.
You said that you want the government to get on and just scrap the two-child benefit cap, as it's known. Big vote coming up, we think, in June on the plan to cut $5 billion from the welfare bill, the benefits bill, by tightening eligibility for PIP, for one thing. Many Labour MPs are furious. What do you want Rachel Reeves to do?
I would argue for substantial reform of the benefits system, away from the top-down, tick-box, computer says no system, which often makes people feel worse about themselves once they've interacted with it. I think we can do much more to help people if we have a more devolved approach that's about the whole person, wider support going on, the housing issue they might have or the debt issues. That will help people go back to work. A more devolved approach to benefits, I believe, will reduce the number of young people not in education, employment or training, will help more people into it. So there is a better way of doing this and achieving the government's aims.
The government should rethink it. Pull the bill.
I have said they should think again. This isn't politicking, this is people's lives. And I do say to them, put a pause on it, talk to people, but just straight cuts that leave people trapped in poverty, are not something I don't think a Labour government should be doing.
The Labour Mayor for Greater Manchester, Andy Burnham.